On October 27th, 2023, I embarked on a journey. A weekend that has now been dubbed Cleveland Weekend. And may I just say, it was the longest of my life. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I was on a bender, but it sure as hell felt like that. I didn't consume copious amounts of alcohol over a short period of time. No, this was more of an emotional bender. You know, a fender bender, if you will. Stop me if you've heard this one. You know when you pack way too many events knowingly into a too short amount of time? This is the phenomenon I'm trying to name, and I do this to myself constantly. There's something about it where it's like the manic of it all, where it's just like chaos ensues and there's no order, but you have a very strict itinerary that you have to stick to. I love it. I feel like I've spent my whole life in this mode. So I really want to put a name to it, to like a specific set of time where you've really just overbooked yourself. I don't really want to use the word bender because it already has like all these connotations with it. It rose to popularity in the 1800s because apparently when you drink alcohol, you bend your elbow. I never knew that. So that was really fun to find out. But again, like I can't erase the history of that word. So we have to come up with a new one. A new one that isn't like very well used these days, but still has some early connotations. Let me tell you what I mean. The first one I thought of was Odyssey. And I really like this one because it implies like a very long, very eventful, adventurous journey. It's like a hero's journey. But I didn't love the hero's journey because it seems like, this one seems like, you know that scene in Ratatouille where they all like get caught in the kitchen and they're just like scurrying around? That's kind of what this phenomenon feels like. And the hero's journey seems dignified, which I like, but a little too dignified. Same thing with the word crusade. Crusade, let me read you the definition. A vigorous campaign for political, social, or religious change. A series of medieval military expeditions a very long time ago. I really like this one. I didn't like how it's a very singular purpose. You know, the Crusades in history, I can't even remember what they were doing it for. Probably Catholicism or something. I really don't know. And frankly, can I be honest? I don't give a shit. But the one I really loved was Gauntlet. Gauntlet refers to a medieval metal glove worn by knights, and the phrase run the gauntlet was a type of punishment or trial for these knights. It was to face a series of trials, difficulties, or obstacles, often involving criticism, hostility, and physical challenges. This is it. This is the word. Gauntlet is our word because it's like a decathlon. Like you know what you're getting yourself into, and you know that by the end you will be physically, mentally, spiritually, all the Lees dead. Okay? And I love like the all over the place of it, and I love the idea that it's like in a coliseum of spectators as well, and you have like people by your side who are doing these trials with you. So I kind of want to break down the anatomy of a gauntlet, if you will, and we're going to be looking at this through the eyes of my Cleveland weekend, just so you can see what I went through and how you can apply it to yourself. Happy gauntleting. So the first step, the first section, the calm before the storm. Now, your first task is like a rather simple one, and it's something that's going to slingshot you into the rest of this. For Cleveland weekend, on that Friday night, we had a party. A big Halloween party. It was so fun. But this Halloween party involved me going to bed at 3 a.m. and waking up at 6 a.m. the next day, which brings us to the point of no return. The point of no return is when you wake up at 6 a.m. the next day and you hear your alarm and you think to yourself, I could just not go. I could just say, hey guys, sorry, I've got way too much on my plate right now. And they'd say, okay. And they'd leave without me. But I guess you've already figured I didn't say no. I said, yes, let's get in the car and let's go. 3 hours of sleep we were on, and we were on the way to Cleveland. The sun hadn't risen yet. Most of your trials lay before you. And this is the point of realization where you're like, this isn't going to stop for 2 more days. That's the realization I had. And I hope you do too when you do this. The next step, nose to the grindstone. Now, this is going to be a large chunk of your time. This is when you're knocking things off the list. You still have your wits about you, and you have this overall optimistic feeling that things are going to go well. But I think you are also underestimating what you have left to accomplish. This is you're driving to Cleveland. This is you get out of the car and watch your friend run in a cross country meet. This is you running to watch them run. Tell me how that makes sense. I'm supposed to sit here and be impressed that you're running, but I too am running to watch you run. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, we're doing the same thing. Why am I cheering for you? You should cheer for me. My brother did track and cross country, like all throughout high school. I didn't go to any of his meets. I was also busy during that time, but I feel like I did my due diligence. I went to his soccer games. I went to a rugby game. I went to his wrestling matches all growing up. I feel like I did my time. I'm not going to spend my downtime, my leisurely time running. But anyway, we went to Cleveland to watch a cross country meet. It doesn't really matter. But what happens after that, it's poetic. It's a metaphor. The silent car ride. You've just watched a cross country meet. You've gotten food. You get back in the car and you're like, all right. The big bad that you've been avoiding, that you know is down your path, just gets larger and larger and larger. And that 5-hour shift at work, which used to be like, oh, and then I'll go to work, is now like, I have to go to work. I have to go to work and run around this restaurant for 5 hours. Wiping tables, clearing plates, like doing silverware, just all of it. Okay? And if anyone's ever worked food service, imagine driving 10 hours in one day and then going to your job at night. That was not fun. Not to mention all the running I did earlier. God. But yes, this is the silent car ride. You sit there, no music. No one's talking. Everyone's just sitting and watching the road, ruminating within their own thoughts and spiraling. Or maybe it's just dial tone. It's just dial tone up there. You got nothing going on. But then a miracle happens. You get your second wind. This is when you see a funny sign on the highway and everyone starts giggling. I remember on the the car ride, my friend Murphy told me about how her mom does this like pose on the steering wheel when she gets tired. She calls it meerkat driving, and I don't know why. It tickled me pink. Oh, it was so funny. But yes, you get your second wind. You walk into the doors of the restaurant and you say hello. I got home that night at 6:30 p.m. I clocked into work at 6:36 p.m. Yes, I did. And I'm still proud of that. That 6-minute turn time, that was everything. Because also on our way home, we had car troubles. So I was supposed to have like a good 30-minute buffer. Try 6 minutes. 6 minutes late for my shift, mind you. I got home when I was supposed to be clocking in. So then I locked in and I changed my clothes and I put on the jeans that I split up the ass and then sewed back together, and I got my ass into work. And you know what? It was a really fun shift. It was a fun shift because during your second wind, like, you have no energy left and it's all delusion. You're so delirious. Everything's fun. Everything's funny. Oh my God. It's awesome. And the people around you have no idea of the perils you faced. The people I was working with, I was like, yeah, I went to Cleveland today. And they didn't even like register. They didn't even know that I went to Cleveland on 3 hours of sleep, drove 10 hours. I didn't drive. I sat in the passenger seat like a princess. And then finally, the last stage, the denouement, the denouement, if you will, if you're foreign. I'm an inclusive YouTuber. You are finally within the context of everything that you do, and you're able to reap the fruits of your labor. After I did my shift at work, I went to sleep. I woke up the next day. I had 2 community performances at the ballet studio. 2 community performances at the ballet studio. And I remember just being in ballet class that morning, and I was like, you know what? Like, this wasn't, yes, I got my shit rocked. Everything has been taken out of me piece by piece out my throat. But you know what? I'm still kicking. I'm still here doing Grand Battements at bar. All right. So then you do your 2 community performance showcases and you get to like enjoy it because you know this is the last thing you have to do that weekend. And it feels like you did it. But the second the music ends and you go back and you just lay down on the floor, in White Swan where she does her thing and she lays down and she's like, I was perfect. That's kind of how I felt after the Cleveland weekend, where it's like there's nothing I would have done differently. Even the car trouble, even like the running back and forth from cross. I'm so thankful that I went, but goddamn, the joy is gone from my life. The life behind my eyes is growing dimmer by the day, and Cleveland weekend took it out of me. But you know what? I love it. I love that nose to the grindstone feeling. I love just doing way too much all the time. It's so fun. As long as you have, some time to recuperate. So that was my anatomy of a gauntlet. I hope you guys will consider this as a new word in your repertoire, your vocabulary, your lexicon. I like that word. Yeah, and if you feel strongly about any of the other contenders, like maybe Odyssey can be something else. Maybe Odyssey can be something good, because I really like that one. And guys, I have an inclination to read the Odyssey this summer. Should I? I'll get back to you on that one. Because I like to do like a weird reading thing during the summer. Like one year I read all the Narnia books. Last year I read all the Land of Stories books. This year I don't know. I'll get back to you. We'll figure this out. Yeah, let me sleep on it.